Welcome back. We are here with Adam Laxalt, Republican candidate running for Attorney General here in Nevada. My first question for you is, the Attorney General is the top law enforcement officer for the state of Nevada. What would your crime-fighting priorities be as AG?
Well, the primary job of the Attorney General is to make sure that he is working directly with our 17 sheriffs and our 17 district attorneys. They need to be very much in tune with the problems we have in the state. So, you hear recently about heroin being something that's on the surge. And as an Attorney General, you need to be in touch with basically the people at the ground level and make sure you understand the problems of the state. And that's your job at a macro level to understand where we fall short and as a state. So if they're telling me that they need to crack down in certain ways on heroin, but they don't have the legal tools, the Attorney General needs to be an advocate for the law enforcement community.
And I think it's interesting that you point out that you would be working side by side with the district attorneys, and your opponent, Ross Miller, who's currently Secretary of State, before he was Secretary of State, he's also an attorney, he was a DA, an assistant DA, and one of his most notable cases was actually releasing an axe murder, and the judge actually said it was one of the ones that lacked all common sense. So I think that's something that's going to differentiate between the two of you right there.
Well, I hope as a Judge Advocate General, your primary job is to be the top law enforcement officer of the state. It's the same thing, and you work to keep the military families safe on the base and make sure that any problems there are, you're there to support and to prosecute or to instruct.
Well, let's talk about the drug war quickly. You mentioned heroin. A lot of people think that the war on drugs has been an abject failure. It's stuffed prisons with people who really shouldn't be there. Some people are saying, look, we really need to decriminalize marijuana, for example, and we really need to get a lot of these people back out of jail, perhaps in treatment and that type of thing. How would you prosecute the war on drugs? Is it time to really reevaluate? Do we still need to be cracking down the way we are? What would you do?
Well, the job of the Attorney General is to enforce the laws as they're put in place. So, it's very important for me as I'm running this year to emphasize that this is not a political position. This is not a job where you should impose your own will. You need to enforce the law. Now, to the extent when I'm in office and I'm working with all of the stakeholders, and I find out for what you're saying, that actually is a problem, that perhaps our prisons are stuffed with the wrong kind of people, then you can work with the legislator to amend those rules. Personally, I don't know whether our population actually is what you say. I mean, you hear that on TV, but I've never had the resources to know at the ground level whether that's an actual problem or not.
And then that would also go hand in hand, I'm assuming, with the current controversial man and woman definition of marriage that's been going on with the current AG and the governor as far as not defending our state constitution. I mean, how would you take that on? Would you make that political or personal, or how would you go about that?
What I find when I go around the state is people are concerned that no one is following the law anymore. There's no respect for the rule of law. They know what these phrases mean. They understand that there's the Constitution that's supposed to actually separate our powers, and people are concerned that whether it's judges or an Attorney General is picking and choosing which laws it likes. So marriage was 67% constitutional amendment. It doesn't matter what the definition is. I would be defending that definition. And down the road, if that is flipped, it's the Attorney General's job to defend that. I mean, it's virtually unprecedented to have Attorney Generals not defending state laws.
This is Rory Reed is not here today, and we give Rory or Amy, when she's not here, a chance to ask some questions. This is what Rory wanted me to ask you. You have said that you believe marriage is between a man and a woman. Governor Sandoval said that Nevada should not participate in the lawsuit challenging our state's ban on gay marriage. If you had been Attorney General, would you have ignored the governor and defended the ban on gay marriage anyway?
I think it was, I'll restate what I just said, which is it's the job of the Attorney General to support and defend Nevada's Constitution. And this is what our Constitution says the definition is. I would not make this political, and if it were to flip the other way, it's certainly not something I would use my powers to try to defeat. I would support this law until it's not the law.
The governor made a mistake by not defending it.
I don't know how he arrived at that decision. He took the advice of his sitting Attorney General, and I would have advised him differently.
Okay.
Also, too, I wanted to point out, we've had a couple of attorney generals, one being the current as well, where the people actually voted in to have the state legislator by 2/3 vote to be able to, as far as raising taxes, and that's also been ignored in the past. We also currently have a situation where the Obamacare mandates infringing upon our religious liberties. You know, that's something that's also being overlooked. I mean, once again, you're probably going to repeat yourself, but these are things that just keep coming on and seem to be ignored and pushed aside. I mean, you're just going to sound like a broken record once again? Or how would you go about this in making sure that we are, as your constituents, being heard and being followed through with the laws that are being put into place?
I think, you know, you see Congress, for example, is at 15%, and people's respect for government is declining, and I think they feel like they're not being represented. You know, they speak and they're ignored. So it's very important to me to try to be as apolitical as possible as an Attorney General and to be a voice for the people. Obamacare is a perfect example. As a state Attorney General, this is a law that we knew back when it was proposed was going to damage this state. It was going to hurt businesses, throw people off their health care, etc. And an Attorney General can fight the federal government. Attorney General can join other Attorney Generals and do a great lawsuit that takes, in the case of Obamacare, they brought it all the way up to the Supreme Court, and a limit was decided in that case, a constitutional limit on federal power. So this is something that I'm most excited to bring to this office, is we need an Attorney General that is defending Nevada, not Republicans, Independents, Democrats. It's defending our state's ability to make our own choices, to grow as we want, and to decide for ourselves the trade-offs it takes for policy decisions and not have Washington shove something down on us.
Is there an issue that you would really embrace as Attorney General? For example, Catherine Cortez Masto has really made an effort to really move forward the fight against human trafficking. Is there an issue that you would really embrace as Attorney General that you would like to see happen?
She's to be commended for that. And that is a great role of an Attorney General, is to identify a systemic problem where you need to get everyone. From what I understand, there is an issue with child solicitation. When I was a prosecutor in the Navy, when you dealt with situations where you had people doing predatory acts for minors online, military justice actually hadn't caught up with that. And we had to figure out ways you could prosecute someone. So that's an issue I'd look very carefully into as a father of a 1-year-old child, that, you know, we need to make sure that as the Internet is moving and moving, that our laws and our law enforcement can keep up with that.
We have to take a break. We're going to come back. You are our guest. You get the last point when What's Your Point continues. Stay